Come on. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Spanish United Radio. I am your host, Enrique Sanchez, founder and director of Spanish United. Tonight, we have a very special guest on the show, and would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hi, people. My name is MC Ruby Dee. First Latino MC in hip hop. Been down since 1976.
Wow, welcome. Thank you for being on the show, Ruby Dee.
You're welcome. Thank
As
you.
as I had mentioned on the phone, tonight's topic is going to be about Puerto Rican contributions to hip hop and how music can be a positive impact in the Puerto Rican and the Latino community. So let's start off with how did you get involved in hip hop and how Puerto Ricans have contributed to the growth and expansion of hip hop as popular culture, as popular music.
Okay. Well, as far as how I got involved with the music, um, quick story coming from a baseball game. We heard some music to the side. There was a young lady, an African American young lady that walked by that I saw, and I said, "Oh my God, she was beautiful." To me, anyway. She
Right.
was beautiful. And I told the guys, and they wanted to go home. Don't go over there because a lot of black folk, and I went over there. I thought I'm gonna go listen to the music when in reality I was actually following her.
Hmm.
And the DJ at the time, he was Cool DJ AJ.
Hmm.
And he had a MC or another DJ called Lovebug Starsky. And he just started to do his little thing. They weren't scratching or nothing like that back at that moment. And I kind of liked the music, and I would make movements with my body or with my hand when I knew the cut or the beat or something. I just knew it was coming.
Hmm.
And the guy happened to look at me. And when I looked up, he kind of called me, when they call you over. He did the little finger wave at me, and
Hmm.
I went under the ropes, like, because you got to go under the rope. So at
Right.
that moment, by the way, the young lady that I was telling you about was standing right next to me. So I grabbed her wrist and I said, "Come on." And she went under the ropes with me. And, one back in those days, if they invite you under the ropes or you're like down, okay, now you're down in a sort of roundabout way.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I hired him to do a party at the building community center where I lived at on Home Street, better known as the Ranch.
Uh-huh.
And 2 days prior, he called to say he had a better deal, and I understood. And I decided to walk home, and I heard some more music, and that's when I ran into the L Brothers.
Hmm.
And I invited them to play at the center. I said, you guys can charge what you want. Just come, whatever. And they did. And along the way, Kevin and Rob were Kevin, Robbie, Robert. They were the MCs. And I just kind of followed them along. I went to a few of their parties to the point where I had a cassette, and I learned those guys' rhymes. And one day they were down south visiting their grandmom, and I was friends with one of the DJs, Cordy. The L Brothers consist of me, Gene, Cordio, and Grandwizard Theodore.
Hmm.
And I he handed me the mic, and I had no rhymes. I knew their rhymes, so I said their rhymes like I would not say I'm Kevy Kev, but I
Hmm.
would say he's Kevy Kev and go on with the rest of his rhyme. I let it be known that it was somebody else.
Right.
And about the summer went by and the guys came back, and one day I was walking on Boston Road and 168th Street, and Robbie Rob, or the Master, better now known as the Master Rob, he came to me and said, "Hey, come with me." He said, "We're going to give you a chance to get down with a real crew." And ever since then, I've been there.
Oh,
Ever,
awesome.
yes,
That's a very wonderful story because when people think of hip hop, they always associate it with African American culture, beat boy, beatboxing. But
right,
you know,
right.
Hispanic or Latino contributions tends to be like underrepresented. So what do you think is the factor of why it
Now,
tends to be excluded?
as far as wow, it's sometimes a touchy subject, but as far as our contributions, and when I say our contribution, I mean Latinos. I just happen to be Puerto Rican,
Right.
but Latinos. When I was given the opportunity, when I got into when I became a rapper, because that's what they called us back then.
Right.
In case nobody knew, we were not called MCs until Melly Mel called themselves MCs. And so from that, everybody now is MC so and so.
Right.
That's how that come about. And I wow. When I joined, there weren't any Latinos in the hip hop industry. You
Hmm.
know, now mind you, we were not there. Latinos were not there day one. We were not. If
Hmm.
anybody thought we were there from the beginning, well, to me, the beginning is day one. We were not there day one.
Hmm.
And anybody, I let you know, we were not there day one. Were we there day two? That's a different story.
Hmm.
Or let's even go maybe day three, but that's a different story. But we were not there day one. So when I was doing it, nobody else was doing it. And if there was somebody else that happened to be Latino or half Latino or however the case may be, they were not letting it known. No, you know what I mean? It was like nobody was out getting on the mic saying, "I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm half this, that, I'm
Right.
from out," you know what I mean? Nobody was doing that. When I was given the opportunity, help my catchphrase rhyme is Ruby Dee is my name, and I'm a Puerto Rican. You might think I'm black by the way I'm speaking.
Uh-huh.
That's my rhyme. That everybody knows that rhyme. So that was something. Now, it seemed like right after I was there, got the opportunity, there was a lot more. And, you know, I can only speak on what I saw, my eye, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I have to, they were not, there was nobody there. But once we came in, whether you want to call it day two or day three, we were a big, heavy part of it. Yes, we were there as far as there was the DJ and the MC, the guys, the rappers on the microphone. As far as Latinos, we were there. We were dancing. We were the beat boys. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We were the people in the crowd. Yes, it was half and half, but that's where we were. And the graffiti writers were out there. That's a whole different. Um, I always thought it was a whole different gender. Oh my God, genre. I think
Yeah,
gender.
genre, correct.
Genre, but as I was more in the industry, it was like part of hip hop,
Mm.
was part of the it wasn't called hip hop yet when I joined, and so they were now graffiti, break dancing, and hip hop is all one, It all
Mm.
beats, like the heartbeat, it all beats in unison now, you
Mm.
know. But I remember when the beats were different, you know what I mean? Like they
Right.
were all on the same beat, but at a different, atmosphere. Don't know the correct words there, but
Right, right. Because I
now,
remember growing up as a kid, the only real like Latino group that I remember that was pretty much visible when I was growing up as a kid was Cypress Hill. And but
oh wow.
aside from them, I didn't really know of any other famous MCs or hip hop artists that were Latino at the time. But I'm talking about at the beginning, I'm not talking about like Big Pun or Fat Joe or Terror Squad. I'm talking about like in the early stages of hip
Right,
hop, like
right.
in the early 90s.
Before we used to do the L Brothers used to do block parties. And where I used to live at, there were some projects back there, they were called forest projects. And they had a basketball court. The court happened to be blue. So if you say, where are you guys playing at this weekend or wherever? And we say the blue court, everybody knew where the blue courts were at. And Joe used to live in the building right there. He was just a young guy, he was a little shorty, he was a young guy. And I've known him since he was a kid. So
Hmm. Another question I wanted to ask you, how has hip hop, in your view, implemented positive influence or has changed the way Latinos, Hispanics see hip hop as as a music phenomena or a music genre? Like, how would you say it has influenced Hispanic people, or how it has made a positive impact to Hispanic people and to Hispanic culture as a whole?
you know, the influence that I don't know if this is an influence but music in general. You know how they say the saying, music calms the savage beast.
Hmm.
And could you just think about all the kids that are, if hip hop did not exist,
Hmm.
think about all those young men and women. What would they have been doing? You know, hip hop was the way out,
Right.
or is a way out. And I've been to places um, where, wow, the music, no matter how poor the country may be, how imperfect, it doesn't. The music was like made them makes you forget
Hmm.
everything. And so, some people tell me, I mean, in Argentina, when a young man, he said, oh, you've been such a big influence in my life. And I'm like, wow, in Argentina? How do you know? You went to New York. No, no. I was in a movie called Wild Style with the group, the Fantastic Five.
Hmm.
And he knew me from that. That's just a moment. That's just a couple of scenes, couple of seconds, And he said the rhyme that I said. It was nothing but 4 bars, and he said them, and then he kind of went into a freestyle where I was like, "Oh my God," I felt happy. What is the word? Proud. I was like, "Wow!" I did that, and he told me what he was doing prior to that, how he was in the streets, how he was doing not cool things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And he decided to go and he heard this music genre, new to them in English, doesn't really even know what I was saying in the movie, Um and for it to take him out the street to for him to tell me, hey, listen, I heard you guys do hip hop. He didn't say you specifically, but he said, I heard this. And I stopped what I was doing and I dedicated my life to this. And he's a very famous guy back in Argentina now, you know.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I just um there's other instances of people that have told me the same things, and I'm like, wow. As far as hip hop, if I can change you from bad to good because of hip hop, I'm okay with it. If I can change you from bad to good because in hip hop because I just happen to be Latino or Puerto Rican, that's the icing on the cake.
Hmm.
There weren't many of us back then. They were not. They were not a lot of us.
Hmm. Yeah, the reason why I asked because we in Spanish United, aside from being a nonprofit organization, charity, we're also a civil rights organization. And one of the things that we do is that we try to champion the inclusivity of Hispanic people, not only in music and in sports, but also in science, education, academia, science, and arts. And I feel that if there are more Hispanic success stories like yourself that could be a role model, but also as an example to encourage and to drive that ambition for Latinos, young Latinos, to make something of themselves. Like we are about, and particularly my organization, Spanish United, I always try to emphasize the betterment of the Latino, Hispanic, Puerto Rican community because we are
Yes.
the future. So I really
Yeah.
commend you that you have, taken the initiative to try to make a difference in the Latino Puerto Rican community.
And it was something that evolved out of, you know, I was looking at it a different way, and when I discovered it, and how people, a question that people have always asked me is, what was it like being the only Hispanic, Latino, or whatever? Not in the industry, sometimes at the club, you know. And I'm like, wow, I never thought that thought never crossed my mind.
Hmm.
I never felt left out or looked down upon, or I know the guys used to look at me kind of crazy because the girls used to look at me crazy. So you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, um, no, it was great. And then now I joined the military. I went to the military, and I had to do something. At the moment, I didn't think hip hop was going to be. I did not know it was going to become the phenomenon that it has. I mean, there's billionaires. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
From something, people have become billionaires. But, all races, Latinos included. From other because of what we started back then in the park. I was a novelty. And I people might say, "Oh my God, no." I was a novelty. I went to the party. People heard the tapes. Oh, okay, they cool. They come to the party. Then they see me speaking. They say, "Oh, wow, he's not African American.
Hmm.
He's Puerto Rican." Everything about me was Puerto Rican. The way I dressed, the way in the group I dressed different. Everything I had, my little accent and whatnot. And so it was, and then to see people that follow go to greatness, aka Big Puns and Fat Joes and the guys from Cypress Hill, you know, Be Real and those guys. I
Hmm.
mean, wow. Wow. There isn't one, um, I want to call us old schoolers. Some people call us pioneers. I don't know what the right word is. But there's a lot of us from those days that right now, whether they made it, and I mean made it where they became millionaires, and some people didn't become millionaires. And but I know that they feel like they had a hand in this thing that we call hip hop. And
Hmm.
I think we did. You know, there's a big old argument about did we help co-create? You know, I really, like I said, the only way I can answer that question is we were not there day one in the story.
Hmm.
We were not there day one. Were we there day two? Possibly day three? Yes, we were.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
know that here in the West Coast, I'm not sure if you know, but a very well-known Latino MC here in the West Coast that was kind of around the same time that you and Cypress Hill came out was a guy by the name of Kid Frost. I'm not sure if you know of him or not.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
Kid Frost was one of the very first in the West Coast that opened the way for a lot of Latino artists that were Chicano and Mexican American, and also Little Rob, Mr. Shadow, Mr. Criminal. You know, these are people that have paved way for a lot of Latinos to actually, embrace and claim hip hop as their own. So I feel that as more time goes and hip hop evolves and becomes more mainstream, I feel that Latinos could embrace it and claim it as being part of their history. It's not as exclusively being
Yes,
one demographic.
right. There's a museum, the National Hip Hop Museum in Washington, D.C. They're pretty good about keeping or you know, keeping the right facts out there. Then there's one in the Bronx, the Universal Hip Hop Museum, and those are. And then now, now we have internet, so word of mouth is the internet is an amazing thing. It helps us. It helps us promote, you know, the and when I say hip hop, I don't mean hip hop. I mean it helps us promote the unity. You know how we have that the saying peace, love, having fun. That was what hip hop was all about.
Right.
And what I think is still about. It's different now. Things evolve. Um, but the Latino presence, it's there.
Hmm.
Whether we're on the microphone, the DJ, the promoters, the producers, and it's a way. How could but what I can say, if I was able to do it, you can do it.
Hmm. And I think that's a very important message to spread that nothing is impossible, and that if anyone
Nothing is
puts their mind
impossible.
to it and put dedication, they can succeed.
See, and what lots of people don't understand or realize, the way I see it is, you can do it. Nowadays, you can do it. When I was doing it, we didn't have a blueprint. There was no. I am the blueprint. I'm sorry, I hate to say it like that, but
No, it's fine.
as far as the Latino, I am the blueprint, and so I didn't know who to. There a couple of guys, other artists at the time that I admire or kind of, hey, I like what they. Oh wow, yeah, I went to see a gentleman, Grandmaster Melly Mel. And
Hmm.
when I saw him emceeing for the first time, he got around. He did a whole bunch of stuff. He would at a certain pace, and he just did it. And when we went home, the guy, was the guy from the neighborhood. And when we went home, I looked at the guys. I said, "Hey, when did he breathe? Did you notice when he was breathing?" And I kind of, if I say I copied anything from anybody, I copied my breathing technique from him because nobody knows when he's breathing.
Hmm.
Back in
Another
those days, back then.
mhm. Another question we also wanted to ask. There is a rapper by the name of Crazy Legs. So we wanted to ask, did he exist before you, or did he come around the same time that you did, or came after?
Okay, Crazy Legs is not a rapper.
Oh, he's
Crazy
not.
Legs is a dancer. Crazy Legs is one of the founders of the Rock Steady crew,
Oh, okay.
the break dancer. Yes, he came after me, but shortly after, he was like I said, he might have been there day four. You know, they've been around for a long time because we were doing parties with them sometime. Once they came out with that, because they were nice. They did that thing that dancing, and but that was after I had arrived on the scene.
Mm.
And no, he is not a rapper.
Oh, I thought he was my mistake.
Okay, he's a dancer. He's a break dancer. That Mister Break Dancer, Rocksteady.
So was he the one that created breakdancing, or just the ones that made it,
No, no. As far
influential?
as creating breakdancing, I cannot give you a. I don't want to. I don't know my because I've seen films of people dancing where, wow, those are the same moves that they were doing when they were breakdancing. Now, mind you, I saw some films from the 1940s of African American, of Latinos, you know, in, there's a dancer, Roberto Roena.
Hmm.
He's the bongo player. He played with the Fine All Star, his band, Apollo Sound. And he was the dancer. And I used to see him dancing, doing those moves, and I was like, wow. And then when I saw people break dancing, I was like, oh, I'm sure none of them probably knew seen those videos before. They were just doing things, and I was like, so I don't know who. um,
A lot of
is
people
going.
speculate. A lot of people speculate, and this might be like an urban myth or urban legend, but my mom used to tell, because my mom, she's much older. She told me that she believes that the three, not the Three Stooges, that breakdancing was originally created by the Three Stooges. Because if you see some of their comedy skits, it looks like
Yes,
they're break dancing and doing the helicopter and all types. And these were like
right,
older men that were doing this kind of stuff. So I
right,
wonder if they influenced it.
and so, but I seen them, and then even like I say, dating a little further back before them. There's other people doing the helicopter, doing the I don't know the name of the terminology other than the helicopter. So but I see it by both in jazz bands back, so back in the days I was like, wow, look at that's where this move came from. Oh no, but then I see it in another genre, kind of the same thing, but then I always say we're supposed to be the same people anyway. So
Because it's really amazing how the Three Stooges, especially that they were like older and heavier people, they were able to make all those moves. So I wonder if that was like a routine that they practiced a lot, or it would just happen to be something that they just happened to improvise right there while they were doing their comedy routines.
they probably practice it or they probably improvised it one time, at a certain once, they did it once and it was a hit. It was, okay, let's do it from now on. So, but I don't know. I wasn't, I'm just speculating.
Right, right, of course. Because a lot of people believe that when hip hop and breakdancing and b-boying came, that it was either influenced by something else, before, they adopted it into their own. Like, I know that in many rap records back in the day, I don't know if they still say it, but I know that when there's like a song that kind of sounds like an older song, it always says in the instructional manual that this song was sampled by another song used by permission by somebody else.
Okay, there's a few of them out there like that. Here's a real quick story. You ever heard of that song, Puerto Rico?
Yes,
Have
I've
you ever
heard
heard
that
that?
song. I've heard that
Okay,
song.
those voices. When you hear the voice where it says Puerto Rico, and then the verse where you say ho, that's Kevin and Rob. Master Rob is the one that says Puerto Rico, and Kevin is the one that says ho.
Uh-huh.
And this happened in 1978. This is pre-Fantastic Five.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there. I was part of the group. I was the guy on the microphone while they were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I cannot tell you the year, but 84, 83, 82, I don't know. That song came out.
Mm-hmm.
Gentleman by the name, I think, Frankie Cutler, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that's not here or there. But that came from one of our parties.
Mm. Okay, so they sampled that from your part and then put it into somebody else's
Right, and
record.
I'm sure the people that used it weren't there, but somebody else got it to somebody else. Because back then, you could come into parties and come to the party with a cassette, and just record, it.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
that's the way it was back in the day.
Yeah, and that particular party was at the Celebrity Club on 125th Street,
Oh wow.
and that's where that party was at. And I believe I was on the microphone, and Rob said Puerto Rico, because it just happened that in the crowd, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We were there, Latinos. But, if you're in New York, uh, you're either white, black, or Puerto Rican.
Right.
Dominicans too much, and but and he yelled it out, and Kevin said ho, and we did that every chance we got. That's that's our part of our DNA now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember a couple of years ago, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. There was like a controversy um a couple of years ago where I'm not sure if you know this retired reggaetonero by the name of Hector El Father, now known as Hector Delgado. He used to be part of a duo
Yeah.
called Hector and Tito.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, a couple of years ago, he had quit the industry and he's a pastor now. But there was one of his verses that was used by this guy by the name of DJ Buer, and that song became a hit.
Yeah.
And the only thing that actually you hear in the song is Hector's father's verse that says "Con los terroristas." And then the whole
Oh,
song makes like a beat. And then it was a big
right.
controversy because a lot of people thought he got back into the industry and he had to take legal action because he didn't want to have his voice used in that particular song. So like today, how are people able to go over like copyright issues?
Right. See, now it's different. Again, there's a blueprint. So you follow the blueprint. Before, we didn't know. Nobody knew nobody knew what we were doing. We didn't.
Mhm.
We were having fun. We wasn't. It turned out that we were making a couple of dollars, and we were neighborhood famous there for a while. You know what I mean? And but it's amazing. Do you know that I've been to Japan
Mhm.
and I hear people singing my verse on the movie Wild Style? They will sing my verse. Or
Oh wow.
the Ruby Dee is my name and I'm a Puerto Rican. That part, I always say that. That rhyme, I always say it. Regardless what show I'm in, I always say that. There's a little 4-bar piece there that I'll say. At any given time during the night, but I'll say it, and I might say it more than once because I enjoyed saying, you know how what they say about Puerto Ricans. I mean, hell, I got a tattoo on my right arm. You know,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
flag. You
yeah,
know,
our people, even if we're not born on the island, we have like a sense of connection to the
the
island.
flag. You know, and you know that thing with the flag that happened because once upon a time it was kind of illegal to fly the flag.
Well, of
I don't
course.
know. Okay, and then out of rebellion, blah blah blah. And anyway, whatever happened, I'm glad it happened, and I'm proud to be part of that movement.
Yeah, it's really something. Well, anyway, I wanted to say that we've come to the end of our time, but I wanted to express thank you so much for being on the show and taking your time to speak with us. And
Thank you for
for
having me.
for the listeners that are listening, Spanish United is on all social media platforms. We are in Spanish United, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Um, and anyone that wants to reach out to us to make a donation, feel free to do so. We are a 501, 503 nonprofit organization. Anything that you give is going to be used to help Hispanic people in need, especially coming up with the holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas and Three Kings Day. So again, as soon as I finish here, I will text you the link and we'll definitely keep in touch. And again, thank you so much for being on the show, Ruben.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Bye bye.